know I got the receipts, girl. You know I got the receipts. Welcome back to the Sweet Pea Diaries. It's your girl, Sweet Pea, and I am back with another, Welcome back to the Sweet Pea Diaries. It's your girl, Sweet Pea, and I am back with another video. If you are a returning subscriber, welcome back to my channel. And if you are a new subscriber, welcome to the Sweet Pea Diaries. Be sure to like this video, share this video, but most importantly, be sure to subscribe to the channel. So you guys let me know how that audio sounds. How is that sounding? Let me know how that sounds. It might have been a little bit of an echo in the beginning, but let me know how that sounds. And y'all know what time it is. All right, who we got in the building? We got Margaret Meisher. We got Kimi Renee Piper. It probably is Margaret Meisher. Yeah, Margaret Meisher. Kimi Renee Piper, Sun Goddess, Coach LP, Life with the Leonard Family, Ravonda Stevens, Cocoa Butter Barbie, my moderator. You guys let me know how that sounds. Thank you, Life with the Leonard Family. Sounds good? Yeah, good now? Good, because in the beginning I know it was a little echo. So before we jump into tonight's video, we have a sponsor that we would like to thank for sponsoring tonight's video. Right, Cellars is the monthly wine club that matches you with wine that you'll love. Get started by taking the Taste Palette quiz to see your personalized matches. Now, Bright Cellars matches you with wines from all over the world, curated to your taste buds. They are focused on finding unique hidden gems from small vineyards all over the world. And with hundreds of private label wines, you'll be able to try a new wine you've never tasted before. All you need to do is take their 7-question quiz so they can gather your taste preferences and deliver wines you're guaranteed to love. Each box is completely unique to your taste palette, meaning no box is ever the same. Each box comes with wine education cards for each bottle that outline the tasting notes, suggested pairings, best serving temperatures, and its origins. Wine wisdom cards help show you how to store and open your wine, keeping it tasting fresh for longer. Now, all Sweet Pea Diaries viewers will get 60% off your first purchase by clicking on the link in the description box below. Thanks again to Bright Cellars Wines for sponsoring this video. And I'm sorry about that. I had the mic cut off, but you guys know that is our disclaimer. We issue that disclaimer before we get started with the court document shows because we are not paralegals. We're not legal professionals. We just, hashtag we can read in the chat. Make sure you drop that. We go over legal documents, giving common sense explanations, okay? And giving commentary. So we don't claim to be legal professionals, paralegals, lawyers, none of that. We just know that we can read, okay? So hashtag that. Now, everybody's been asking me about this update because I'm pretty sure people saw that there had been an update with Jennifer's case, okay? And basically what happened, they were preambling up to, Judd had filed these sanctions, requests for sanctions. They have not been sanctioned, okay? Jennifer, Tyrone, and her camp, they have not been sanctioned. Judd and Nicki Minaj's camp filed a request. They wanted to issue sanctions, okay? And so they were scheduled to go in for like a private meeting, and this was supposed to be taking place on the 12th. So Judd had actually, matter of fact, let's just get into it. Let's pull up the documents, okay? All right, let's get it popping. All right, so let's see here. What do we have? All right, so this is a letter issued by Judd. He actually, now you remember that he was wanting to use Stephen Gordon and Stephen's wife. He wanted to use declarations and statements from them because Tyrone basically was letting the court know that there was a conflict of interest with this case, that, the sanctions that Judd wants to impose upon the plaintiff's side, that it would not be fair. The reason why these things were occurring, that Judd is accusing them of doing, is because Stephen Gordon was incompetent. Tyrone says that Stephen had become incompetent. He was basically working with the other side. He was sharing messages with the other side, correspondence, emails, and was not turning that over to Tyrone. Tyrone and Jennifer had no idea what was going on. He was using drugs. He was in the middle of separating from his wife and was cheating on his wife. And thus he was confiding in Jennifer. And that was hindering the plaintiff and her counsel from accurately performing in this case because they didn't know what he was doing over there with Judd, what correspondence. So Judd said that he wanted to go before and issue sanctions. Okay, so in doing that, he wanted to file declarations from Stephen and his wife stating that the stuff that Tyrone was saying was not true. So here's what the letter says. Now, the letter says, "Dear Magistrate Judge, following our conference with the court, I write to confirm that I am withdrawing the declarations of Mr. and Mrs. Gordon, which were submitted as Exhibits 2 and 3 to my reply affirmation in further support of Ms. Mirage's and my sanctions motion against Jennifer Hough's counsel, Tyrone Blackburn. As I explicitly stated in my reply declaration, I have no personal knowledge of whether Mr. and Mrs. Gordon's denials of Mr. Blackburn's allegations concerning their personal lives are true. Moreover, for my and Ms. Mirage's purposes, it is the fact that Mr. Blackburn made these ugly, superfluous accusations in his opposition papers as opposed to their truth or falsity that is relevant. Accordingly, since Mr. Blackburn wished to file a surreply addressed only to those portions of Mr. and Mrs. Gordon's declarations discussing Mr. Blackburn's allegations about their personal affairs, I have agreed to obviate, which means remove, any need for a surreply from Mr. Blackburn by withdrawing their declarations. So he's saying I don't need Tyrone to further address this because I'm going to remove these declarations altogether. So Judd is removing them, right? So then he writes to the court on the 6th because they are expected to go before the judge to talk about the sanctions and to talk about whether or not what is going to be taking place with this default judgment that Jen filed against Kenneth, okay? So the judge, Mr. Judd says, I write to inform you that I have some personal obligations at my home in Connecticut on May 12th, which I will not be able to meet if I travel to the courthouse in Brooklyn for the conference scheduled for that day. Further, I am about to commence 2 weeks of depositions in a case in the Southern District of New York, which cannot be delayed due to an impending discovery deadline. I know that my appearance is not mandatory, but I understand that the court believes that there might be some possible value to attending the conference. While I could send a lawyer from my office to attend the conference, I suspect that the court would like my personal participation. So under these circumstances, would it be possible for me to appear by phone or Zoom on May 12th? So of course, they let him appear by Zoom on May 12th. So what happened on May 12th? Well, on May 12th, this is a letter that was submitted in response to what happened on May 12th. So on May 12th, they discussed, the pending position of the motion to vacate. They wanted Jennifer to withdraw or consider withdrawing the default judgment against Kenneth Petty. And that's what that meeting was about, and that's what they discussed on the 12th. She had until the 13th to give her response and give what her position would be. And on the 13th, she issued a letter stating as such. Dear Judge Cho, we are counsel to plaintiff Jennifer Hough in the above referenced matter. On May 12th, 2022, the parties engaged in a productive conference before Your Honor, and in the interest of reaching an amicable resolution to this matter, I am writing to request a withdrawal of plaintiff's motion for default judgment against defendant Petty. So this means that Jennifer voluntarily withdrew the default judgment against Kenneth Petty. Now, what does all this mean, you guys might ask, right? What does all of this mean, okay? They wanted to file sanctions. Then they're withdrawing their, declarations of Stephen Gordon and the wife. And now Jennifer is withdrawing her default. She also dropped charges, dropped the case against Nicki. So what does all of this mean? And they said that she was possibly going to be filing another case in California. And then there was some information given that she was filing criminal charges against them in Georgia. And there was a lot of talk about that. But what this all suggests to me is that there is some type of delegation, some type of conversation going on behind the scenes as to how they can settle this outside of court. That's what it seems to me, okay? I don't know, I don't speak with Jennifer. I don't speak with her about her case. She's in the chat sometimes, but I've never spoken to her about this. This is her, she's in court for this and the case is active. So I would not want her to come on the show and speak about this until it's over. We're not like Tasha K and them over there. We know that when you have an active case, it does not behoove you to really be on anyone's show talking about this, especially the sensitive nature and everyone's watching it. All eyes to see if you're going to slip up and say something that would damage or, hurt your case in any way. So we would not want to do that to her. But there is an invitation open to Jennifer. Once this is over, or if it's over, please reach out to me. We would love to speak with you about this and possibly get clarity as to what actually took place with this. Did you drop this because you're settling behind the scenes with the Pettys? Or is there some type of strategy where you are, going in a different direction? We can only speculate, but we would really like to, ask those questions and get you to, give us because I don't really have information in this docket to say what is actually going on. They don't give you the transcripts right away. They're not on the PACER docket. So I don't know what was said in these meetings. I don't know what was said in these conferences. And the only paperwork that we get is like, oh, she withdrew it, and I'm not going to sit up here and speculate, well, because of this. And I'm not a legal professional. I wasn't in that room. I don't know. All I can do is give you this information. We still stand with Jen. We still want to see Jen get justice. We always stand for, the victims, and we always want the victim to have a voice, but we don't have any information. I can't really give you information as to why she withdrew it and what's going on. But in my opinion, and what it looks like to me, that there's something going on behind the scenes that could be possibly being discussed. That's what it looks like to me. Okay. But one thing that I do know, what is going on the flip side with Kenneth Petty as it pertains to this whole situation, with him not registering as an SO in California. I do know that he has a strategy. Now, as we know, he has continuously asked the court to push this off and, postpone and move it back. First it was March, then they postponed it to June 1st. Now it's all postponed to June 29th. And the reason being, so the sentencing proceeding currently was set for June 1st at 1:30. It is now being continued to June 29th at 3 p.m. Now this was entered on today, May 26th, that they actually granted his request for a continuance. He had asked the judge on the 9th, he had asked them for a continuance because he is wanting to try to use a new law that has been enacted by California. They have a new law where it is a sex offender registry tier system. Okay. And what this means is that they have determined 3 tiers, and which is basically levels, right? And each tier will give you a certain length of time on this registry. So because he's now a resident of California, he wants to get his tier designated. And what that will do, if it can lower it, then it would, change how long he's supposed to be on the registry. If he's been on that registry that length of time, then maybe it would, lower the sentence or whatever. But this is what he is attempting to do. So what he stated it says the plaintiff, United States of America, by and through its counsel of record, the U.S. State's Attorney for the Central District of California and Assistant United States Attorney Catherine Seiden, and Defendant Kenneth Petty, by and through his counsel of record, Michael Goldstein, hereby jointly apply for an order continuing the sentencing proceeding in this case. Defendant has conferred with the government and, due to the issues described below, respectively request that the sentencing proceeding be continued from June 1st, 2022 at 1:30 to June 21st, 2022 at 1:30. Well, they actually put it to the 29th. Okay, or a date later suitable with the court. So it went to the 29th. The government does not oppose the request, so the government was fine with it. This is the parties' third stipulation to continue the sentencing proceedings. The parties make this request in good faith and not for unnecessary delay. The defense is planning on submitting an expert report in this matter. The defense has notified the government about the plan to use an expert report for the purposes of sentencing. The defense needs additional time for the defendant to confer with the expert and for this report to be completed. Further, the defense needs time to potentially pursue state court remedies for the defendant with respect to his S offender registration tier status in California. under the relevant sections of the California Penal Code. These remedies could be relevant to sentencing, and the defense wishes further time to pursue all available avenues of relief for the defendant. The defense recently received the letter designating the defendant's California registration tier. The tier designation letter was needed to pursue the state court remedies. Okay? So that's what he is basically doing. He wants to try to use this tier designation letter in his favor. And I'm going to go over exactly what the tiers are and what this means. So, effective January 2021. Now, this was just enacted last year. Okay. California transitioned lifetime S-offender registration schema to a tier-based schema. Okay. SB 384 is the name of the law. It established 3 tiers of registration for adult registrants for periods of 10 years, 20 years, and life. For juveniles, it is only 2 tiers, 5 years or 10 years for juveniles. Okay. SB 384 allows the registrant to petition the Superior Court or Juvenile Court for termination of their S-offender registration requirement on or after their next birthday after July 1st, 2021, following the expiration of their mandated minimum registration period. Based on the criteria listed in SB 384, the court will either grant or deny the petition. So this is what he is trying to do. He is trying to get his actual tier determination. He's trying to get what it would be. And then if so, he can actually ask that it be terminated, that his designation or time on the registry be terminated if he meets these requirements. So it says SB 384 allows the registrant to petition the court for termination of their S-offender registration requirement on or after their next birthday after July 1st, 2021. So after July 21st, 2021, which it's already past that, following your next birthday, following the expiration of their mandated minimum registration period. So if you have it, so once he determines what the level was, okay? So here is the tiers. Tier 1 is 10 years. Tier 2 is 20 years. Tier 3 is lifetime, right? So if he can get tier 1 or tier 2, if they say that he's met those 10 years or 20 years, if he met the minimum registration period, then he can request that his SA be terminated, the registration, that it be terminated. So that's what he is trying to do. Now, they say that he is going to introduce some type of expert, then this expert is going to testify, or they're going to try to use some type of, data or information to help in defending him. But this is what he was waiting for. I believe we did an update before about this, and at that time he had applied for it and he had sent off for it. Now he finally got the letter back, this registration letter, and it must designate and tell him what his tier is. So if it was life, if it was 20 years, if it was 10 years, that's what would be on the paperwork, right? So when he goes to court on the 29th, we will find out what it is that California designated him to be. Okay, because at this moment, it is not listed. It's not entered on the docket or anything like that. So we'll find that out on the 29th when they have court. Okay, so what are you guys saying in the chat? Calling on all you to, oh, that's my mother here. Let me go up to the top. Okay. Let's see. Yes, we can read. Hashtag. Steven did rub me the wrong way. He was definitely off, okay? Hey, Big Kitty. She said, what's tea, girl? Okay, hey, chat and Sweet Pea. Jen decided to take it to trial. I don't know, what that would mean. It seems to me, I do know that Kenny is still, this is still active with him, but Nicki Minaj, I know she had withdrew him. So if they are going to be moving forward with trial, then the case is still open. It doesn't have an end date, so we will be seeing what comes up next. So if that's what she decided to do, it does appear that that's probably what's going on, because there is no end date. We don't see anything like that, but this is all I have. I don't see anything that suggests there's a trial date yet. So if that's what it is, okay, we shall see. So them involving Jen in this mess had nothing to do with his decisions on not registering. Why? Because her habit for his bad decisions once again. Non-fadeable, that's so dumb. Why do they let them get off like that? Vanderveer Kimi, she want him to look good to the public like Jen lied on a poor black man. Right. Jerica says they tried to get Jen to lie and say he never violated her, but Jen said hell no. Exactly. He's a level 2 offender in New York. Right. So basically what that is, they're going to determine what level 2, what it's given in California based off of his risk assessment and the paperwork they have. So California will determine what level he is, what tier he qualifies and falls for in California. And then he's planning on trying to, I know that's what the strategy is. He's going to try to see, okay, well, how many years did they say that I'm on it? But see, that's not going to fly with California because you didn't do your time in California. If you've been on the offender registry list, it wasn't in California. It was in another state. It was in New York. So my thing is, if you switch it to another state, then you got to do them 10 years, them 20 years, it would seem, on that paper, in that state. You got to do it on their paper. You know what I'm saying? Now, maybe they'll let them transfer the years and it might give it like time served and you can transfer it. But I would think that if you move to California and the fact that you didn't register when you got there, you didn't show good faith as a citizen, you showed that you had no respect for the court, for the law, for the registry system, because you didn't register when you got to California. So that's a strike against you right there. Okay. So you come there and you're saying that you're not an S offender, but at the same time, you're saying that you want to be, you want to sue New York. You don't want to be on the registry. But at the same time, you're asking California what your tier designation would be. Which one is it? Why would you apply for a tier designation if you're not an S offender and you don't need to be on the list, period? Make that make sense, right? So we already know that New York has moved to dismiss. They want to dismiss this entirely. So we are still waiting to hear back from that. That's where we're standing with them. They have put in, they want this dismissed. Okay, so we're waiting to hear back from New York, whether that's going to be dismissed. And then if it is, then he would remain on the registry and then it would go from there. But this sentencing has been delayed again until June 29th because he is, wanting to introduce expert testimony and his tier designation letter. All right. Is it 10 years, 20 years, lifetime? But if you're not an S offender, why do you need a tier designation? It would have been, I'm not an S offender, right? I'm going to wait until I fight this with New York and see what the outcome is of that. But that's because none of them, they're not budging. They're not budging. They're moving forward. California is moving forward with sentencing you. They said you did not register. Okay. We don't care what you got going on over there in New York. That's not going to halt the decision of California to move forward with sentencing because you're trying to put off onto New York that you didn't get a fair shake when you were young, you were railroaded, and all of this, which is incomplete, just madness. It is false. That's not true at all. All right. If you look on the information in the system about this, they recovered the weapon. They said that it was actual penetration that occurred. I mean, make it make sense. And he was in court and he accepted, the level 2 S offender assignment. You know what I'm saying? The counsel that he had stated that they talked with him about it. They went over it with him and he accepted it. So this is not, he took a plea because he was young, he was railroaded. No, he knows that he had done that. He knows that he stood to get more time, and they pleaded they actually gave him a plea deal. And this is how things always happen. The DA, they start off with the, hey, this is what we got against you. But you're young, it saves the court time, money, resources, it saves the public, from, taxpayers' dollars. So we're not even going to try this. We know what we have and you know what we have. So give us this time. You'll be out in a certain amount of time. You register as an S offender and you go on with your life. But what did he do? He continued to be a public nuisance, continued to get into trouble. He didn't try to, be productive or be, a man, a good man in the community. He committed crimes. He stayed gang affiliated, and committed deadly crimes. So I don't understand why we should be having any type of sympathy for anyone like that. People wouldn't have sympathy for me if there was some things that were found out about me. People would not have sympathy. They would throw the book at me. They would call me all kinds of names. They would say all kinds of things about me. So if this is your fave, because this is your fave, this is her husband, now we want to make all kinds of excuses. Oh, he was a kid. Oh, this is how they do black kids. And when this is just not true, he actually committed an assault against a young girl and he was punished and held accountable for doing so. And in that accountability meant that you were supposed to register when you moved to a different state and you did not. You were doing it all up until the time you got with Nicki Minaj. You felt that when you got with her. She's a high-powered celebrity. You need to be able to go places. Hence why we saw him courtside, knowing that he's wanted for stomping out somebody in frickin' Germany somewhere. But he's courtside holding the baby. He's with Nicki, her entourage, getting all the celebrity royal treatment. And here it is. He's a convicted felon and wanted. Okay? So it's actually... if it was anyone else, people would be up in arms. They would be, hysterical if this was someone else. Yeah, but there's really, I'm going to the thing. Okay. But again, this is how people do when it's their face. They make excuses and they don't see any reason, they don't see anything logical. Okay. So that's basically where we are with this. Kenneth Petty has decided that he wants to introduce expert testimony, expert information, I don't know what an expert is going to attest to. You did not register as an S offender. What is the expert going to say? Usually experts, they provide information that's going to be some type of profound information to help you. And I don't see how an expert is going to help you not be an S offender and get out of this in some sort of way. I don't understand it. But that's where we are with this. As I stated, I'll see if I can speak with Jennifer and see if maybe she would bless us with her presence. If you're in the chat, Jen, hey girl, hey. If you would be willing, once this settles down, we would love to have you, and you are welcome always here. This is a safe space for you, so we would love to hear your experiences with this. And I would like to ask a few questions about Tyrone and Steven, because I just feel like it was very unprofessional for Steven, to be, talking with you about his wife and, the things that was going on in their home. I just, I just felt that it was terrible, that you're trying to go through your thing, you're trying to, fight your case. And here it is, this man is telling you about his wife and, his troubles and, he's addicted to drugs and all of this stuff. So I would love to know what really went down, how did you handle that? Being traumatized yourself, going through this with, Nicki and her husband and her fans, the Barbs. I can just imagine, what you've been put through. And we would love to offer our support and just offer you a safe space to just really tell us. I don't want to talk about the actual what happened in 94 and all of that. We don't want to go through that trauma. I really would like to talk about the case and, what happened with your representation. I feel like Tyrone and Stephen really just didn't do you justice. I feel like, I don't know if Tyrone was inexperienced or, the fact that Stephen, it was a conflict of interest because he kind of knew Judd already and what they were doing behind the scenes. I don't know if it was that, but I just feel that you could have gotten a better, representation with maybe some different attorneys. So I would love to talk with you. Hey, Jen, there she is. Hell of a story with Steve. Some things to look out for. Right. I know. And I did see in looking in the dockets that, he had a drug problem and that he was, calling you and telling you and discussing his business with you, which is absolutely unprofessional. And it took away from, here it is. And I can see what type of, person you are, even in the chat, how you comforted and consoled me when I was going through things. And I can see that you probably took the time to listen to him and everything, but you probably were uncomfortable because it's like, listen, you're supposed to be defending me. I'm the victim here. So, I definitely understand, being in that position where you were probably like trying to console him, but at the same time, needing a defense, needing him to defend you. So I would love to speak with you if Cool Beans on. I would love to speak with you. And like I said, this is a safe space. Yep. Toxic says, hey, Jen, I would love to know if you're working with victim advocacy. That's a good question. I'm pretty sure she probably has some people. But yes, Jennifer says 100% right. I can just imagine trying to deal with your own. He's supposed to be your attorney. And here it is, you talking to him about his own personal issues. So Tyrone was spot on with that, with fighting those sanctions. Like, listen, hey, he was turning in, and he wasn't even turning in emails and paperwork. We didn't even know what he was talking about with Judd over there. He was hiding information. He wasn't letting us see the correspondence, the emails, whatever they had going on. So I think it was a conflict of interest because he kind of knew Stephen and, I think your defense probably could have been better if you didn't have Stephen. I noticed that from the beginning. I think I made some commentary on that before this information came out that, oh, wait a minute, this Stephen dude. So yes, we would love, I know she says, I didn't know what to do. I can just imagine. So yes, I would like to, if you can DM me, I don't have your DM, but if you can DM me at Sweet Pea 78 or Sweet Pea Diaries on Instagram, I would love to set up some time where we can talk. And really, I would just like to, ask some questions about your case and how, how did you handle Tyrone and Stephen? I'm pretty sure Tyrone wasn't as bad as Stephen, but I just feel like maybe your attorneys might have let you down, because you definitely have a case. We all know that. We all see that. And I think that they probably could have went about it in a different way. Maybe it didn't have to play out so much in the blog, so much in the press. Maybe Tyrone, if he did less interviews, I don't know. But again, we are on the outside looking in. We don't know. So we would love to hear from you. Some guy that said Jennifer should sue for emotional distress, right? Okay. So, So, yeah, that's really all we have for tonight's update. Again, it's really was brief because there really isn't much going on as it pertains to this situation. We are waiting for this expert, so-called expert, to see how he's going to try to wiggle his way out of this. But California is not budging. California's not playing. They're going to take into consideration that you did not register when you came to California, and now you want a favor from us. Now you want us to consider what tier and terminate your status. No, sir. I'm not looking for California to do that. I'm looking for California to say, this is what your designation is. This is the time that you have to be on it. They good for 3 strikes you out and putting somebody on life. Okay, they are good for that. So I'm not looking for them to be lenient with him. I'm not looking for him to get any breaks or get any, consideration because he's a good citizen. No, sir. No. You continue to commit crimes. You continue to partake in crimes when you got out. And just the fact that you didn't register when you got to their state, now you want a favor from them. I'm not looking for them to do any favors. So that's all we have, you guys. If that's it, I'll take a quick couple more questions, but that's really it. Jen says, thanks everyone for the support. As always, Jen, you are welcome here. This is a safe space for you. We have been in the trenches fighting this and fighting the good fight ever since we jumped on this story, and we will continue to do so. I try to give it from all sides. A lot of people, they know that we stand for you, so they say, oh, we're just against Nicki Minaj. But this really doesn't have anything to do with being against Nicki Minaj. This has to do with what is right and what is wrong. And when someone has been assaulted and something like this has occurred, you don't have nothing to do with this, Nicki Minaj. This is between Jennifer and her abuser and her as a victim, and her wanting to connect with you as a woman and wanting you to identify with what it was that happened. That's all she was asking you to do. And instead you went on a hate campaign and you wanted to, twist narratives and wanted to make her look bad in the press, and thus have your fans go after her and ridicule, harass, threaten her life, all of these things. And while you sit back and just throw rocks high, I ain't do it. You're not, as if you're not encouraging these people. And if when people say she's not in control over her fans, she can't make them not do or do, but she can say stop. She can come on her platform just like she comes on her platform when people say she was looking fat at that Met Gala and she came up there and wanted people to see her abs and her titties and all this. She can come up here and say stop harassing and stop bullying Jennifer Hough. She has a private matter and a private affair with my husband that has nothing to do with me. That's what she can say. So stop harassing her. She is a victim, and I don't have anything to do with that. But I would appreciate, or, not appreciate, but if you could please just stop with the death threats and the harassing and the bullying. But she's not going to do that because secretly she's with that. Because anytime someone goes against her, whether it's a journalist or something like that, it's an attack mode. You know what I'm saying? It's release the goons. That's the mentality that she has. So just because, she does not have power over her fans, she cannot make them stop or go, but she can say, don't. She can get on her platform and say, I don't agree with that behavior. We don't condone violence. We don't condone bullying. We don't condone, silencing victims. We don't condone that. But is she doing that? No, and she won't do that. Jennifer says, thank you 100%. This was never about what people say it was. Facts, Sweet Pea. And we definitely, it was never about what people say it was, which was money. But one thing I do know, when we think about what it was that they wanted you to do, we can see what the motive was. Because now, how is it all of a sudden what came from this narrative of they wanted to silence her, they wanted her to retract her story, they wanted her to take back her testimony. But let me tell y'all this, with Jennifer in the chat, let me tell you this, one thing that I would have, the audacity to think that you can reach out. I don't give a damn if you reached out through black, if black orchestrated the call, if yellow orchestrated the call. I don't care who orchestrated black, yellow, green, purple. I don't care who it was. The fact that you thought that it was acceptable to have a victim contacted and that she was going to retract her story because you are now involved. You are now the wife. So you have money. And you thought if I dangle my name and my prestige in front of her, she would at least consider it. Because what else would it be that she would be considering? Because she likes you? No, you thought that if you just popped up, I got wind that you want to help us with something. That means are you willing to do the dance? I'll pay you. That's what you said without saying it. Because what would you be contacting her for? What would be the meaning of speaking to her? Now, this is what y'all don't know. It's nothing that she would have been able to do. She never testified in the beginning. The DA prosecuted Kenny. The state prosecuted Kenny. Jen was not a witness for the state. She didn't go on the stand. None of that. He took a plea deal that day. So there was no testimony. He got up and took a plea deal. There was no testimony for her to take back or retract. So there wouldn't have been anything that she can do to help. The state convicted him, not Jen. Jen was not a victim or a victim that got on the stand. She was not none of that. She simply, when she told her story was when she was at the hospital or the police station when the shit occurred. The school, those people, whoever she talked to that day, those are the people that she told her story to. She never got on that goddamn stand and told them people any damn thing. She was not a witness because they gave him a plea deal and the state prosecuted him. That shit don't say nothing about Kenny Petty, Jennifer Hough against that. No, that shit says the state versus Kenny. Okay? Thank you, Toxic. $4.99. Speak on it. Thank you. So there wasn't anything that she would have been able to do. But see, that's their thinking because they had a plan that, we're going to try to get his sentence overturned anyway, which is why you see him now in the courts with New York because they had that all in the plan. And they felt that it would have helped their case if they had a statement from her that they could have presented along with this complaint. See, that's what they thought. And when they thought this was going to happen and when it didn't happen, when she didn't quote unquote play ball because she realized what they was trying to get her to do, that's when things got ugly. Anybody can see that. Anybody can see. Anybody in their right mind can see. When things got ugly. Right. She said, nah, I ain't want to recant. Exactly. She did not want to recant. What she was doing, she had a conversation and she realized like, these motherfuckers want me to recant my story. I'm not doing that. When she realized this is what they really want me to do, I'm not doing that. You know how sometimes you have a conversation with someone and you're thinking that the wife or the girlfriend is, maybe you can talk to her as a woman, which is why she made that statement, I need you to know that this happened. That's her trying to connect with Nicki Minaj as a woman, saying, hey, can we just, one-on-one, can you just understand where I'm coming from? Nicki don't want to hear none of that. Her agenda was, listen, let me pay you, recant your story, and then because we have an agenda. And when she didn't want to do that, why? Okay, so if she was about money, okay, now let's say it. Let's say this. Okay. Let's say this. Let's say this, right? Miss Magic, how you going to say, see, this is the disrespect, okay? I please don't take this disrespectful. Miss Magic 0143 says they didn't investigate, they just got him to plea out from hearsay. How are you going to say with the victim in the chat and you are a woman? And see, this is the stuff that infuriates me. You are a woman. Jennifer Hough is the victim, okay? And you actually going to sit here and tell her that they didn't investigate that he got convicted off hearsay when she is telling you what he did. And the courts know what he did. And the paperwork says what he did, that there was actual intercourse. This stuff is listed. We proved that. I have the paperwork on another video. They have the weapon, recovered it. They said it was a knife used. They have it listed as actual intercourse. And you're going to sit here and tell the victim that it was hearsay, and the woman is in the chat telling you that this happened to her. That is so disrespectful. And these are women. Like, how can you do that? Like, what gives you the right? Now, what if you were assaulted and someone is telling you that it's hearsay? They just, never mind that you in here. She's in the chat telling you what she experienced, and you got the nerve to tell her that it was hearsay? That's very disrespectful. I can see if she wasn't here, but she's here, and you gonna say that? That's disrespectful. You cannot say that she has not been assaulted. Are you her? And what she said from the beginning is what she's saying now, and what she continues to say. It's disrespectful. And you are a woman. Like, don't do that. That's disrespectful, and it's nasty. It's mean, and it's hurtful. Like, that's just disrespectful. Like, how you going to tell her about her body and what she went through? How you sound, ma'am? Ooh. Ooh, these women are something else. It is so sad. But these are the same women. These are the same women that say protect Black women. We stand for victims. Black Lives Matter. These are the same women. You guys, I really need you to get, like, even if you don't like Jen, even if you don't like Nicki, whatever it is, your position, you still should have empathy for someone and say, hey, I feel for you. You know, if that happened to you, I'm sorry. But my position is, you know, this, that, and the third. But if this happened to you, I'm sorry. And just move on. The disrespect is unnecessary. The bullying, the nastiness is unnecessary. I just think it's disrespectful. Her story has not changed 5 million times. Thank you, Vanderveer. Jennifer says they didn't need me because they had the R kit they gave me after it happened. Jennifer, you don't have to you don't have to relive that in this chat. Please don't address these people. I will do it. Don't even worry about it. I got you. You don't have to relive that in this chat. Okay. And that's what I said. When you come here, this is a safe space. Mods, please block these people. Do not allow them to disrespect her. We're not going to entertain and have her go through that trauma in the chat. She don't have to explain herself to nobody. Her story has been what it is. It is my job to handle that chat. So mods, do what you do. My snipers are in the building. Like, we ain't playing that. We not playing those games. Okay? Exactly. She good over here. So what happens next? Jay Frederick says, well, we will see. I don't know. I'm not Jen. I don't know what they're doing. But I'm pretty sure she really can't talk too much about the lawsuit part of it. Because usually when you're in an open case like this, you can't really be talking about that. But her actual story with what happened to her, I'm pretty sure that that's her truth. She can always say little things about that because that's in the press. But what moves they're making and, as far as what's going on in court, even if she could speak about it, don't. You know what I'm saying? We're going to go with the paperwork that they got on Pacer and we'll go with what we see. When it's over, you can come speak on it. But we just going to wait till they put the paperwork up and then we'll talk about it. So what happens next? We're waiting to see, is this going to trial? Where we go from here. But as it stands right now, she withdrew the default judgment. I feel as though there is some type of settlement talk. There's some type of, let's just settle this shit out of court. Let's just wrap this up. And let's just say this is what we're going to do. I feel like there's something like that going on. But, we shall see. All right. But as far as Kenny, this is his third time pushing this back. I don't see the court pushing it back anymore. They're going to be done with this. June 29th, I'm looking for him, they're going to have the paperwork and he should be sentenced. I don't think that they are going to be giving him any more extensions. Okay. He's had 3. All right. So we will see what goes on. We will see what goes on. But no matter what, he's not getting away with that in California. California not playing that. They're not playing those games. California is going to, okay. 20 years, life. They gonna put his ass on the highest tier that they can put his ass on because he continued to commit crimes. He did not register when he got to California. He shows no respect for the law. All right. So they're not going to scratch your back because you didn't scratch theirs. And you haven't been scratching anybody's back. You've been knocking people out, trying to commit murders. You've been doing all that. You have not been doing what you're supposed to do as a productive citizen of society that is on a S offender list. All right. You ain't been following no rules. So don't expect California to give you any breaks because they are not. Yes, it's going to be June 29th. No, it's not the 22nd. It is the 29th. He asked for it to be on the 22nd, but they pushed it to the 29th. And here it is here. It says, here, let me share the screen. So the court went on ahead and postponed it, and they granted the postponement for June 29th. Let me see if I can make it a little bigger. See that? June 29th. So it's going to be June 29th at 3 o'clock. It was supposed to be the 1st, but they pushed it to the 29th. So we will see what happens. He's wanting to introduce expert witness, expert paperwork, a tier designation letter from California. And like we said and broke it down earlier in the video, if you're catching the replay, you're going to have, or if you're here live, you're going to have to go and rewind it back. But he is trying to go for termination, okay? Because apparently with this tier designation, you can ask for your registrant can petition the court for termination of their S offender registry requirement on or after their next birthday, after July 21st, 2021, following the expiration of their mandated minimum registration period. So the 3 tiers, again, are 10, 20, and life. So depending on what tier they give him, if he's already met the mandated minimum registration period, meaning if he's already been on there for the minimum required amount of time, he can petition the court to have his status terminated. So this is the strategy. Because he cannot get New York to throw his case out, he's going to try to get his status terminated. See, and he didn't know that California had this, see. But now that he's, got some legal advice and their attorneys they pushed it out. This is the reason for the delays. Because he applied for it, he was waiting for the letter, and he finally got it. So this was the reason why he was pushing it out, because he was trying to get into this program and figure out how he can get on this, what tier he can get, and so that he can be able to terminate it. So that's the whole plan. That's the whole plan. Now, when I say life, this is not life in jail. 10, 20 years in life. This is the time frame to be on the registry. So the tier designation is tiers. Are you going to be a tier 1, a tier 2, or a tier 3? Similar to his New York, where it's a level 1, level 2, level 3. So he's a level 2. So we want to know, what does that equal in California? Would that make you tier 1 or tier 2? Or would that make you tier 2 or tier 3? You know, would that give you the higher sentencing towards the higher sentencing in California? So we're waiting to see. June 29th, we will know the outcome. Okay? All right. So that's all I got, you guys. This has been another edition of the Sweet Pea Diaries. I mean, this is what we have. Like it or not, I know you barbs, you guys don't like me. You guys hate me because I do these updates and I just give the truth. You guys want me to get up here and bash Jen, and you want to pull out all and say she's a liar. That is so disrespectful. Just like it was disrespectful for Nicki Minaj to even think that she can sit on the phone and have a victim recant her story. First of all, Jen, it wouldn't have been nothing that she could do to help. That's how stupid people are. Jen she wasn't a witness on the stand. She didn't help them put Kenny away for 2 years, 4 years, however long, 2 to 4, whatever it was. She did not have any part in that day. Now, she's the victim, yeah. But they thought if they got her to recant and say that this never happened, that they would be able to put that with this whole lawsuit shit that they done filed against New York. They thought that if they had her story saying that this never happened, that would have helped him. See, that's what they wanted, right? That's what they wanted. So it didn't work out like that. And that's when the games began, so to speak. I mean, I don't see how anyone can't put that story together and see it. It's common sense. She does the shit online to people that are just bloggers, people that are just journalists reporting against a story about her. Can you imagine what happens on the inside? Child, with people that she care about, what she does for those people, the shit that's going on with Jen. Release the goons. I mean, come on. It's obvious, right? So that's all we got, you guys. Be sure to like this video, share this video, but most importantly, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you on the next video. Good night.